What's up, everyone? This is episode 100. Crazy to think that this has been going on for a little bit less than, I guess, 2 years, but just so much to talk about all the time. And as we know, there's never a dull moment. It's been crazy 2 years to get to 100, and so I just want to say thank you to Joe, Hans, and Brian, and shout out to people like Amy and Alexandra and Jeff, who really helped us just anchor this and get as far as we are today. But yeah, thank you guys. This is awesome.
It's a lot of work, but we love doing it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be a part of something like this, and for as long as we've been doing it, it's just good to get the information out there to people and educate everybody, especially the haters. We got information for you haters.
They're definitely watching this.
They tune in every week. Every week.
Every week. All right. Well, with that, let's just jump into it. All right. So episode 100. Shout out to Joe again for putting this deck together. I really appreciate it. He handles this each week. All right. So Tesla stock, man, as Tim Waltz would say, it's just every time I check the app, it's going down. But now we are at officially year to date only down 4%, which is incredible. It's an incredible run up, especially given what was happening in late December and hitting all-time highs. But again, something to pay attention to. We should be hearing back on delivery numbers and production numbers on I would say Monday. I think that's June 2nd. And so they should be releasing them. So we'll see how the market reacts and where we are next week. But I do want to say, kudos to the holders out there, or hodlers, as we would call it, and people who continue to hold. And just, there's a lot of noise, but next couple months, and I think really the next 6 months, are going to be a lot of things coming for Tesla, whether it's the Robotaxi, potentially some new products, and potentially updates to their energy and storage business. There's just, and then even having, getting more information on how the robot is developing, but a lot of really, and the Cybercab ramp too. So a lot of really exciting things happening. All right, Joe, I'll pass this one to you.
Don't call it a comeback. More like a clean slate. So I think this had to allude to he changed his profile pic is what I'm talking about. But Elon has officially completed his stint of 130 days of being an interim government employee. The rumors will tell you, or media will probably try to make it seem like he was ousted by his best friend. They are no longer BFFs. This is not true. He just completed his days of service, and so he's back at Tesla. And boy, did he do a lot of interviews. I saw Sandy Monroe. I saw Tim Dodds. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's just been on fire the last few weeks.
Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts on just kind of like what you've been seeing? Not only, I think he released his The Road to Mars interview yesterday, but he's just dialed in and you can just see it. And he's also made a couple of comments. I just dropped a comment as you guys were joining this. But he said that, he also he's a fan of the things that Trump is doing, but he doesn't want to be associated with every little decision. So we'll see. I think this interview is dropping Sunday, so this will be really interesting to see all the stuff he says. But at least I've been seeing a wartime Elon locked in. He's back at his companies. He's in a metaphorical sense, turning tables, getting things done, running the pace of innovation through as Walter Isaacman would call it, a surge. That's definitely what I'm seeing, is like what we saw at Doge or Twitter hell. I'm seeing that same type of Elon just being locked in. So I'm excited. All of this stuff was planned as far as a short 130 days. We knew that was going to be the case. But I'm happy to see that he's I think he's learned a lot, seen what he can do and how he can make things an impact. but he's also figuring out, okay, these are the things that give life and to him, and that he enjoys, and that he's moving on to.
One thing you can see from all his recent interviews is focus, is clarity of mind. He is dialed in. And like you were saying, if you have concerns, go watch all the recent interviews and tell me what those concerns are, because I'm not seeing them. If you don't like him, that's something I can't control. That's something probably he can't control. So that's not the person I'm talking to. I'm talking to the people on the fence who say, I'm worried he's distracted. Just go watch and tell me what you think.
And I think, to circle back to Walter Isaacson's comments about, how Elon, he goes through these periods and he gets into demon mode eventually, where it's just like execute, 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 execute. And a lot of times that's driven by some hardship that's being faced. And I think his time in Doge, just like basically beating his head against the wall, trying to save the country money and realizing that Congress is absolutely worthless and cannot be counted on to actually execute. Like the savings are there to be had. All they have to do is agree, yes, let's not spend this money that has no purpose to be spent. And it doesn't look at this point like that's going to happen. And so I think that's an extra motivator too, like wind at his back, that says, okay, we have really, really, really got to move the ball forward with SpaceX, with Tesla, with several of his other companies, to really try and drive that GDP growth here in the United States so that we can outpace this deficit spending potential death spiral that we're looking at.
Yeah, there's a graveyard filled with good intentions of people who tried to do right and just realized that they should have just focused on themselves. And I think Elon just kind of reached that point. Like, he's done all he could do. And like you say, the information was there. All they had to do was just like follow the guidance that he set out. Like, there's just so much wrongful spending that's happening and going nowhere. What was it, like so many 120-year-olds like that they had to turn that money off for? It's like come on, man. So, but I think for him, he's just like, looking at him now and looking at the interviews he's done. Because I'll be honest, like, I thought, yeah, he was at Doge, but everything was still happening at Tesla. The fundamentals didn't change. They were still launching rocket. Things were still happening. So I didn't really see the problem, but man, you can definitely see a difference with him being fully vested back and everything. It's a definite difference.
Yeah, I think my personal take is that, good for him to see a problem, to say, hey, I want to be potentially a part of this change from the previous. I was treated and felt a certain way about the previous administration. I want to go make an impact. He rolled up his sleeves. He went out and did something about it, put his money where literally his mouth is. And, I think he made a lot of impact in various ways, and showcased a lot of things that potentially the general public did not have insights into. But aside from that, I think it's good for him to finally also realize, even though this was kind of close to his stint, or it was going to be a closed period, I think he did make comments about potentially still being involved 1 or 2 days. I think that's he's probably backing off that even more. But my opinion is, good for him to say, hey, like, he went and tried something, tried to see the impact that he could make. Obviously, there's been potentially there's been positives, and there's also been negatives to him personally, and some of the attacks and things that he's faced. But at least he tried, and he definitely felt like it was a fork in the road. But maybe the better decision was to help with the campaigning, but don't necessarily be in the front office, right? I think that's probably maybe what he's learning. But either way, at least he was able to say, hey, I tried. I in every way I had the power, but really it's going to come down to a lot more than just calling out the fraud and waste. It might take decisions like the Congress making decisions and things like that, to obviously, which he cannot control. So good for him. I'm excited to see him locked in, excited to see how the next 6 months to 18 months are going to go. I feel like he's go in the same way he jumped into the whole Doge thing. You're seeing that same thing happening now, where he's jumping all in back into his companies and focus, because he has definitely been busy, and I think the teams at Tesla and SpaceX are going to get a lot more love now. All right, Jensen on Tesla. We've been on this, as Joe would say.
You tried to say a proper. Proper is not the way.
So NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, in an interview on Tesla, we do a lot of business with Tesla and xAI. Elon is an extraordinary engineer, and we're going to build many more computers together. His self-driving cars, his Optimus robot, and every single one of them world class. And I forgot what the exact other sentence was, but either way, I believe that they're building their second supercomputer with xAI, and Tesla will. I think Elon even said that they're going to continue to buy NVIDIA GPUs and things from NVIDIA as long as they continue to make a better product than Tesla itself. So and that's the case. So yeah, I think I'm glad, because NVIDIA, as we know, is making the shovel for the gold rush that's happening right now. So it's important to make sure that those relationships are intact. But do you guys have any thoughts on this?
I think it's cool that all these CEOs. I mean, we saw like Google, and also there's just so much respect, I think, for Elon, and I think that Jensen gets more of a firsthand approach. You know what I mean? Like he's like so in the weeds with Elon when it comes to like things that Elon's working on, and things that he needs, these shovels for. It's like he can see it. And so I think like for him to speak on that, and you don't see him doing that for anybody else. You know what I mean? Like everybody's buying chips. Everybody's trying to do what they can with AI, but he's really impressed with xAI and with Elon, and I think that's just saying something.
Well, and it would be effortless for someone like Jensen to throw shade at any other chip developer in the world. Tesla does develop chips in-house. Some of them have been deployed in use, but nobody really stacks up to NVIDIA's, scale right now. And yeah, it's impressive to see that that people who just look at the actual facts and figures, that know the actual engineers, have such a high opinion of Tesla and its engineers and Elon. They can actually recognize it, as opposed to like United Launch Alliance, which for years would just do nothing but throw shade at SpaceX, because they're, how could they possibly do anything? It's like, well, yeah, you probably should have got on board with that a little sooner, but maybe maybe next time.
100%.
Yeah, I would agree. Those are great points. And the only thing that I would add is that, I mean, is there anybody better in all of AI to have an endorsement from than Jensen Huang?
If
He
there is,
is
I
pretty
don't
much
know
the
who
goat.
it is.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I'm
like,
saying. Like the fact that he does that for xAI and for Elon, but you don't see him doing that for Microsoft and for, you know what I mean, or Meta or anybody else. And they're all buying chips. They're all using his shovels. It's like, you know what I mean? But he's like, he sees firsthand what Elon's doing and what he's projected to do and what's happening. And he, even for him to realize that and speak on it publicly, like I think that says a lot.
For me, yeah, it's crazy. It's like, can you imagine getting an endorsement from the person making the shovel during the gold rush? I mean, that's literally what it is. Like the person that's literally giving you all the tools to build out AI and really these insane supercomputers, he's getting an endorsement from and has a good relationship from. So if Elon needs more shovels to get things done, what does he do? He jumps on the phone and says, "Hey, can you get me a bigger allocation than maybe we anticipated?" And not only that, I have 5 companies that I can hook you up at. Yeah, if I need something for Neuralink or boring, I mean, it's just like, hey, if I need you to hook me up with Tesla right now, I'll come back and hook you up with XAI later as well. I got billions coming your way, right? So that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, Elon's kind of successful.
Something like that.
I guess, sort of.
All right, Joe.
Well, he and I together own like 27 million shares of Tesla. So
yeah, man, moving that needle, bro. All right, Joe, this one's to you, man.
So I'm going to say that this looks a little different. It's probably nothing, as Brian would say. But yeah, this so this was driving around Giga Texas, and shout out to Sloan
Fremont.
Fremont. Sorry. So it wasn't Sloan. It was the
met God in Wilderness.
Yeah, the God in Wilderness guy. So wow, yeah. So Fremont's happening. Things are happening. What do you think about this, Brian? How does it look to you?
It looks shorter, and we've discussed, does it have 2 doors or 4? And I can't see any creases on there. I can't see where it looks different. And the fact that they're going to such lengths to cover the front and back ends with a cover there, something's going on there. That's great. That's what I want. I don't want a decontented 3 or Y. If anything, I mean, that might expand the market a little, but it might cheapen the brand a little. We want something new. And I think what's going to really help the second half of the year is 1 or more new models. Of course, Robotaxi success. We won't see large deployments. We need something this year. And this would definitely fit the bill.
Yeah, it's looking pretty sharp.
Hans, you have thoughts?
Well, I certainly hope that, it is a shorter vehicle. 2-door would be an awesome modification. The fact that the front and the rear are so different is interesting. And one of the real possibilities here is that this is just the performance Model Y. But, we're supposed to be getting new models right about now. So that's also, a distinct not possibility. It's really hard to say. I don't have super strong opinions on it one way or the other given how blurry the images are and our lack of real ability to get any details out of it.
Blurry images are the future, man.
What I don't really, I do know Tesla seems to be cooking up a lot of stuff right now because, some of the things that people are seeing in Monterey, I think it's that light blue Model X. And then I think people, shout out to Bennett. I mean, he saw the Model S. So they're clearly up to things. We'll see what they actually end up coming out with. I would say with the S and the X, they don't seem, outside of the interior, they don't seem to really be covering up much. So whereas these, when they're trying to cover up the front fascia, even when the Model Y Juniper was coming out, they at least covered the front. So, but we'll see. Yeah, could be anything, could be nothing, could be, a 2-door vehicle. We'll see. All right, so go make my money. So pension fund investors demand Musk to work 40 hours a week at Tesla, and Alexandra 0.25% of shareholders. That's like saying that's like the guy with 9 shares suing or trying to get Elon to not get his 2018 comp package. That's just,
well, we have 200 people we need to consider here, and one of them says work 40 hours. I don't know. I guess that'd be 400 people. Out of a group of 400 people, one of them's like, well, I started a petition that no one signed but me.
I think things like this are so funny because nobody on the planet has more money and more time that they put into Tesla than Elon. And to think otherwise and to say you need him to work harder at the company that he has more money invested in it than you. He's got more shares than anybody. Like you think he
especially
doesn't care about the company?
Has been struck down. Like, he's been working for free for 7 years essentially at this point, and you want more free out of him? Like, come on. Because the likelihood that these people are also the same people who voted against his pay package, I would say, is pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, but the revote, you guys, the revote passed by 1% less than the original vote. And that's crazy when you think about it, because a whole lot of the investors who voted the second time weren't even shareholders the first time. I wasn't a shareholder when the first comp plan was passed. I knew that that was his comp plan before I bought the stock. And I thought, wow, if this happens, he'll be the richest person alive, and I can pay off my house with my tiny little investment. That's a pretty good deal.
27
Not a
million
bad
shares
deal.
between you and Elon, man. That's insane.
Yeah, you guys are raking it in, bro.
I mean, he does have more shares than me, but I mean, combined, it's still the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Joe, this one's to you, man.
Robotaxi is going to be kind of June-ish, it seems. No, it's pretty cool. So you can see the post from Elon there, but you can also see that Bloomberg came out with the article June 12th. They had an exact date and everything from those familiar with the matter. So, and I thought I put Drake's post in there because he's doing a factory tour on the exact same day. He just lucked out and got that. But man, so I don't know. And then the whole thing, like what he was saying, like Elon had posted the other day about we're a month away, and so it seems like maybe the end of June for that. He was saying like a month away from like what factory deliveries, the car driving itself to people. So I don't know, like I don't know, June 12th. I don't know how they got that information or whatever, but we know it's still June. It's happening.
Real quick throwback to 10 seconds ago. Joe Tegmeyer said they should have demanded that Elon works 42 hours a week. Then they would have gotten full shareholder support.
Yeah.
That's so
Brilliant.
true.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's crazy. People are just they need something better to do. But my thoughts on the Robotaxi event, I'm really excited. Who knows if June 12th is really a thing? And also too, it's coming from legacy media. So until really Elon confirms or denies it, it's still who knows if it's really truthful. Clearly it's not a big enough lie to like completely say no, because Elon hasn't commented about it.
Yeah.
So there's that, but I will say that clearly June's coming. He made the comment, as I believe you posted here, Joe. For the past several days, Tesla has been testing self-driving Model Y cars. No one in the driver's seat on Austin's public streets with no incidents. A month ahead of schedule, and next month, first self-delivery from factory to customer is going to be happening. That's just insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
To live in Austin, man.
Yeah, it's I think people have been seeing some what is it, some of the Model Ys that they have like certain licensing plates on them or something like that, right? The tag, the TCP something, whatever, like the limo. But again, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I've seen a couple of clips out there about it.
Just Tesla vehicles autonomously making money. No big deal.
Yeah, nothing to see here, really.
Nothing to see.
Probably nothing.
Probably.
All right. Tesla's energy plea. All right. Sawyer said, news, Tesla has released a new statement on opposing removal of energy tax credit proposed in Trump's new bill. We urge Senate to enact legislation with sensible wind down. This will ensure continued speedy deployment of over 60 gigawatt capacity per year to support AI and domestic manufacturing growth. And then Tesla put out specifically, they pretty much said that, but abruptly ending the energy tax credits would threaten America's energy independence and reliability of our grid. My thoughts are exactly aligned with what Tesla and is putting out. I mean, we are in the age of energy. We need a crap load of it more than ever. And we, in my opinion, need to be turning on all of the incentives to make sure that not only are we reliant on our own country, like in my this is not a political thing, but it's maybe it is, but it's like we shouldn't be relying so much on Canada, for example, for energy. Why can't we just throw a bunch of solar panels in the state of Utah, Texas, wherever it may be, or different places? Again, this is simple. I'm simplifying it, but in the age where AI and energy is going to be super important. I mean, look at what was happening in Memphis, where XAI is building their second supercomputer and is probably taking on an insane amount of energy. And a lot of these places are not built for these insane, not only data centers, but supercomputers. And you're seeing it happen in a lot of these remote locations, like Sparks. There's like an Apple, Google, and Microsoft data centers or supercomputer labs essentially being built out there. And so Tesla Energy is primed to be able to set up for success here. And I think inhibiting the growth of that is not a good thing.
So I have a question for Hans, because Elon had also mentioned in a separate post, I forgot to put it in, but he was saying how, like, yeah, you're getting rid of all these incentives, but they're only for like the new energy. You know what I mean? Like they're none of the things are going away for oil and for, you know what I mean, for gas and all those. They're still getting all of their freaking subsidies, and everything is still, all their incentives are still going in. So how does that sit with you, Hans? What do you think, like, going forward? I mean, if it's going to be across the board, it should have been fair for everybody, right? Like, nobody gets anything, or everybody gets it.
Yeah, I'm not entirely, sure of. That's my understanding as well. That there's still a lot of subsidies that exist for oil and gas. And then we've heard President Trump say "drill, baby, drill," which is fine if like if people want to drill, if the economics work out. Like I'm definitely not against oil and gas. I'm definitely not against, like, LNG. I think is a huge resource that we need to continue to tap, and not like. My opinion about it isn't going to matter. We are going to do that for data centers. Like, that's the near term biggest solution that we have to power these clusters like Stargate, just because it's the fastest thing that we can get online. And so all that said, yeah, like if we want to save money, I kind of agree that saving money right now is a good idea, but we also have to think about the footing that the United States is on relative to China. And there's a direct correlation between the amount of energy that a country has and its wealth and its gross domestic product, its GDP. And China's just growing energy like crazy right now. They're adding, a whole lot more energy than we have here in the United States over the next decade. And so we need to make sure that we are figuring out ways to try and stay competitive with them. And so, yeah, I think that in my mind, as a relatively free market person, I think the best way is to actually have free markets that are allowed to operate to do that. But our grids just are not set up in a way that's conducive to free markets right now. And this, I think these, the tax credits that Elon's referring to here, my understanding of them is that those are they're like ways. It's a free market for these renewable energy credits that allows different companies to kind of buy and sell the energy with some extra incentives put in for, like, hey, if it's produced by solar, it gets a little bit extra. And the thing that Elon's talking about here is the batteries are the biggest thing that we have the ability to use to increase the entire grid. Like, we are able to make a lot more energy than we actually use right now, because you have to install the capacity for generation that satisfies peak usage, but we're not using peak usage most of the day. And so if you have the ability to store what you're producing when you're not at peak usage, then you can, like, ramp all those other forms of generation up and store it for when you do need it. And so that's a huge thing and we need those batteries in order to really be able to grow, not only like it's grow the amount of energy that we can use, but also then that solves a lot of problems with the reliability of the grid. Like batteries are the biggest solution to reliability, both for renewable energy sources, but also for the traditional energy sources. And so, like if we remove these tax credits, I think we're even pushing further on needing some sort of miraculous solution to energy generation from something like small modular nuclear reactors, which is a great technology. I just like there's so much regulatory red tape around that. I don't know how fast we can bring those online. While I think the technology is feasible, we sure are good at getting in our own way. And so all that to be said, I think there needs to be a lot of careful thought put into this. I'm hopeful that in the Senate they can do a little bit more of that than was done in Congress. We need to kind of balance the tension of saving money and not subsidizing things that don't need to be subsidized, with making sure that we're keeping our eye on the ball when it comes to our energy priorities, because energy priorities and national security priorities are, definitely go hand in hand.
Would agree. Energy security is national security.
Well said, Brian.
I feel like I need to steal that. We need to put that in a picture of Brian with the quote and energy in the background.
I love it. I love it.
But yeah, I would say exactly echoing what Brian and Hans were saying, like when you think of national security, where we are headed. And again, this is why we rely, especially I think in the Northeast, we rely too much on outside energy. But also aside from all of that, energy usage is only going to go up 100,000x in the future as we're using more AI and as data centers are being built. And so this is like, in my opinion, continues to be the new gold rush, with needing extra compute power, which is going to require energy power. So the more we can become self-reliant as a country, and really whether it's state by state, county by county, especially where a lot of these things are going to be built out, like energy should not be a thing. And here in California, as we know, we're great at doing certain things, especially when it comes to like fires, like having enough water, to having enough energy. Like the reason why I got solar on my house is because of the fact that the electric company would shut me down 7 to 10 days, and now I control my own destiny more. Now I have Starlink, plus I got 2 power walls. So it's just one of those things where if I can feel that myself as a consumer, imagine how these companies and really consumers will feel on a mass scale when they don't have to worry about energy being flowed to their outlets, right?
Yeah, the spice is gonna flow.
Joe, this one's to you.
Tesla Semi charged at Giga. So this is pretty cool. I think I can't remember his name right now. The guy who's in charge of the semis.
Dan?
But yeah, Dan Priestley. Dan Priestley was talking about how he did that slide deck over in Europe, and there was like 46 locations that they had mapped out, and so this is obviously one of them. And he was talking about like, oh, why don't they have pull throughs? And it was like, well, actually, this was more efficient because they drop off the trailer, and while they're waiting to reload or whatever, they charge, and just makes way more sense. I mean, yeah, you could see a truck with a trailer behind it for certain use cases. They're going to need that on their journey. The map across the lower states, it makes sense, but for most situations, they're going to be at their location. They drop the trailer and then they bobtail out, and then they can charge. And going to be freaking. It just looks really cool, and the port that they're using is hopefully they get it. They are on top of it this time to where it's the one that everybody's using initially going forward, so they don't have to nax it.
The Tesla diner is not ready yet. I realized I was talking on mute. Sorry, guys. But if you are not familiar with this, this is a thing that's been, I think, in Elon's work, like in his mind to build out since really probably over like 8 to 10 years ago, where he thought it would be really cool to just build a charging station really in the heart of LA, Santa Monica. I believe there's going to be something like 40 to 60 stalls, something like that. But there's going to be like a whole diner vibe with a huge screen to just play movies at. So really, you know, like when you think of, I mean, this is going to become more of a thing to just chill at. It's going to be like the next 7-Eleven. But it's really cool to see how this thing is being built. And I think it should be open 24/7 is my understanding. I mean, obviously there's probably only going to be certain hours where they're cooking and there's a menu. But I know there will probably be vending machines just to get access if you're stopping in late. So cool to see that this is coming to reality, but it's taken years for this thing, right? It's been like 2 or 3 years. So
yeah, it's been wild. This whole area where this diner is at is like, it's crazy on a map. If you look at supercharging, like for Stockton, we have like 2 chargers in Stockton, and it's like plenty. You know what I mean? Whereas when you look at this area, they're like gas stations. Literally, there's like so many superchargers on a map. It looks intense. So they do not have enough chargers, but this is like one of the really cool things that they're going to have. And I always thought it was kind of weird to put it in such a busy location, something like this. It would have been better just to have a multi-floored charging station, like just a deck of charging stations. But you got the big screens and the diner, and you got that guy who's going to be cooking up artisanal burgers, and it's going to be freaking sick. I can't wait for this to open.
And you could have put it anywhere. You didn't have to put it in a city. I mean, look at Kettleman City. That's along the way to where you want to go rather than where you want to be. And it is a magnet. I have stopped there intentionally more than once because it's the cool place to be, and it's very busy. So I think they could have done this anywhere. I don't know why they chose there, but it's great. Fine, whatever.
It's gonna be like a In-N-Out. Like In-N-Out has lines around the block, and this place is gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
I do hope they leave it open 24/7 at least until the hype dies down, so those folks like myself who don't want to wait in line for an hour wrapping around the block can just come back at 3 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. My thought is that, and who knows, based on like who knows how long ago, we could probably look it up, but they started pulling permits and acquired this location or rented whatever they decided to do with this property. But this also could have been in motion 4 or 5 years ago, which the climate was a lot different, even from an Elon standpoint before they decided to fully move out of California and stuff. So well, actually, I think it was. Yeah, so either way, who knows? And if they would have rebuilt it, because this would have been cool. Like I'm making this up. If you put this in Kettleman City, again, they already have one there. But if you put this on the road to like Highway 5, it would be popping. Like, I mean, just having a diner, but also too, how do you get a really good chef out there? But maybe you don't really need one. So I think it would have been a nice destination charger. But this is definitely going to be a place to be, at least for the first, couple months. And really, again, for any Tesla enthusiasts, they're going to be stopping at this location probably when they come to Los Angeles. And
I don't think the chef is actually going to be there. I think the chef just designed the menu. So in that regard, you could duplicate it anywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Joe, this one's to you.
I just want to let you guys know there's hella mega pack factories out there. So I think this is pretty cool. The wrought iron has gone up, and this is, I saw this on Now You Know, actually. I didn't even see it posted on X. So first saw this on Now You Know. But yeah, there's a Megapack factory being built right in Dallas, of all places, like right there in Texas. So I think this is like when you look at, well, for Lathrop, when you see those trucks pulling out of there and they've got the packs on there, like you just start to realize, like, man, it would be way better to have multiple locations for like a Megapack factory for logistics alone. You know what I mean? Like Tesla makes batteries. They got that down packed. So this just makes way more sense. The cool thing about this place is that it's twice the size of Lathrop. And Lathrop is making money as we look at the energy numbers. Like, so this is just going to be insane. And already when we were there at Lathrop, they backed up like a year. Like they're already like sold out for like the next year. So they needed this. So this is pretty cool.
And worth pointing out that you remember the X and XAI server outage last week. I'm pretty sure that it just didn't finish rendering the surface textures in this, and that on the next update it'll look correct. So, yeah,
100%, 100%, Brian. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
All right, Brian, breaking it in.
Uh-oh.
Personally, I'm waiting for the Cadillac fish teak.
No, the Celestic, the Optic, that's the fish stick. So I think it's fun that, and of course, then they threw in the Escalade IQ. What are you doing? You just ruined your whole naming convention, but fine, whatever. Cadillac. So look, these are getting good reviews. Kyle from Out of Spec recently compared the 4 different 3-row SUVs that are out there, not including the Model X because, well, I'm not sure why, but the Cadillac, the Rivian, the Volvo, and boy, there was one other, the Kia, and they all got good marks. They're very expensive vehicles, though. But yeah, I'm just excited. We all want to see the fish stick.
How was your time? Because I haven't seen your video if you released it, but I know you spent some time with multiple vehicles recently.
Well, I've spent a lot of time with the Chinese vehicles recently,
Right,
and I did do
right, yeah.
a drive of the BYD Seal, and it drives very good. Not as good as a Tesla, but it's getting good very quickly,
Solid.
and very solid. And when you're in a market like Mexico, where every market has different distortions. In the US, Chinese cars are severely punished. You can't really buy them here. In Europe, there are tariffs that make them slightly more expensive. Well, in Mexico, the BYD Seal is a good quarter cheaper than a Model 3, and that makes it gives it a real competitive advantage. Model 3 still outsells the Seal, but that may change any day if it hasn't already. They're moving a lot of units of that, but the country is so big that even with very fast growing EV sales in Mexico, you're just not seeing them yet. I mean, I was in a few Ubers that were BYDs, but they're not getting there yet. It's going to take a while, and realistically, they're going to have to build out the infrastructure for charging. A lot of people in the big cities don't have access to charging at home, whether it's because they're in an apartment or because just the logistics of getting power next to the part where the car goes, all that it's tricky. So yeah, but I've driven the Blazer, but I have not driven the fish stick yet.
I think
Who
it's so
knows?
weird that a lot more people don't have solar. It just seems like such the easy way. Like I'm just always shocked that solar didn't take off the way I really thought it was going to, like, years ago. It's really weird.
The high upfront cost, installers want you to put their kid through college, and I don't mean all of us collectively. I mean you personally. They want you to put their kid through college, and it slows adoption. We need more people who are willing and able to work with their hands. And speaking as a Gen Xer, we started the real trend. We are soft.
Yeah, it's I would agree with what you guys are saying, because I think energy specifically, well, I do know that a lot of the new homes are getting solar in California at least, but even then it's kind of like crappy systems, to be honest with you. And they're just doing like the bare minimum just to meet whatever the basic requirement was for new builds in California. But you know, investing in energy, do it while the tax credits are there. But it really is kind of a no-brainer. Really, when you think of living in places that have a lot of sun, if you could get a couple power walls, it really does make a difference, and it does help you save money in the long run, especially on your energy. I've seen my bill go from an average of $250 a month to pretty much $50 through around 8 months of the year. My gas side of the bill will go up because it's Pacific Gas and Electric. Goes up a lot because we use our heater. It's not electric, it's gas. But it really does make a difference to not be dependent on someone else for reliable energy through like the heat waves, through like insane wind times, or things that would cut off the internet or cut off the power. All right, so Elon and Mars, right? He gave a whole road to becoming multiplanetary yesterday in like a 45-minute display. Super cool. Again, seeing Elon locked in is really cool. I mean, he's come out. It's kind of crazy. It's not like he's just like come out in like, hey, I'm back. It's like he's literally gotten on, and done like 5 to 6 interviews at this point. And the Starship launch happened this week, and then he came out and did a whole speech to the people over at Starbase, which is now an official city. But he's talked a lot about how in 2026 that they're going to try to send the first unmanned, but not necessarily unmanned, but with robots to Mars. So it's a cool aspiration. We know that SpaceX, is using rapid reiteration right now to get this Starship up and running. And we do know that there were some complications in the flight earlier this week. But they are learning a lot from each flight. These are called test flights. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how, especially if you think about it too, like if you can program these robots in a way where they can even help with labor and building. I mean, this is going to really help establish the city or the base that's even being built on Mars, and potentially even save a lot of human lives if you get these things up and running. So I'm really cool. And also too, this just looks like something you would see in a comic book or something, you would see in like Star Wars movies, which is literally happening. They're on like another planet. And so, yeah, I thought it was a really cool way for him to cast vision of what the next, what the future could look like. And really,
Well,
we're not far away from this. This is like next year.
yeah, I think that's like the most important thing. We're not that far away from it. And then you're also looking at a window, that 26-month window to get back into Mars. You know what I mean? And Optimus could be working 24 hours a day. You know what I mean? Like 7 days a week out there, like just relentlessly building and getting things ready, and you wouldn't have to worry about it until your next window of opportunity comes around for you to get back out there. And I think it's brilliant, man. I think like what we're seeing with the fact that, I mean, all of his companies are just like all coming together with Boring being able to fit inside of a Falcon Heavy rocket and a Starship. And I mean, it's just like, and now Optimus coming online and they're going to have thousands of these things, potentially millions by the time that they're able to launch out there. Like that's just wild. A payload of like 100 Optimus just freaking headed to Mars.
Well, and what's crazy is
brilliant.
They could be working 24/7 and we'd still have 0.25% of investors demanding 40 hours.
You mean 42 hours?
42.
You gotta, yeah. I mean, 44, you got to give 110%.
Exactly. All right, so we're gonna wrap up the last 10 minutes with the upbeat. This is the time where we kind of just hit various topics happening in the automotive industry and SpaceX and kind of, things around the other Musk companies. But it's an opportunity for us to put the hosts on the spot. All right, let's go with Hans. Is cheating winning? BYD tops Tesla as the top choice of EV brands in China, and it's not even close.
Yeah, except that apparently a bunch of those cars that were sold then had to be resold with 0 miles. So who bought them and just hung on to them without putting any miles on them for quite some time? I wonder. You mean you can't trust numbers that are published by companies in China? Shocking.
So
Yeah,
it's so shocking.
Yeah. There's been cities built and abandoned that never were used and never reported on. It's just, but yeah, this takes the cake too.
You don't
All
even
right,
want to look
Brian.
in China for the ride bikes. There's a graveyard of those things like crazy too.
Yeah. All right, Brian, Starship Flight 9. What were your thoughts?
There were a good 20 or 30 objectives for this mission, and a lot of them did not get far enough to test. Not only is this rocket science, this is doing the impossible for the first time. You're going to have some bumps in the road. Would we like to see more successes? Well, we've been spoiled by SpaceX's engineering feats in the past. Falcon Heavy test launch went off without a hitch. And that's not to say it was actually a perfect flight. I'm sure there were a number of parameters that were outside of expectation, but within nominal range. So this was unfortunate. It was disappointing. I certainly wanted to see a different kind of excitement, more of a positive excitement than watching flappies go melty and disintegrate into space. But it happens. The next one is, like we saw with the first big flights, the next ones are already ready to roll out for their testing. And hopefully they gathered enough data to make big, meaningful improvements on the next one.
Well, real quick, I'll say that what what SpaceX is doing with the crash testing of rockets is never been done before, because they have reusability where people don't, where other companies don't. And I think because they already had the next iterations already made, they were kind of looking to like just max out what it could do. And I think you hit your limit and now you realize like, oh, okay, that's what happens. And so now you can dial it back from there. And so I don't think they wanted to save this rocket anyway. It would have been useless. They couldn't use it for anything because they've already built the next iteration. They already have the follow-up version for it. So I think like there was that one time when it landed and they're like, well, what are we going to do with this now? Because we don't need it. You know what I mean? I think it did exactly what they wanted it to do, because you have to hit the maximum to know where your limits are. And I think that's what they do.
And they were doing things that were going to stress test it anyway. It was never going to be recovered. Yeah.
That's the word.
Go ahead, Hans.
Yeah, that's absolutely true for the booster. The thing that, was obviously disappointing for a lot of people was that we didn't get a controlled reentry of the V2 Starship, which is, that's an incredibly important feat that we need to, we have changed where those front flaps are located on the Starship and moved them back behind the nose a little bit so that they're protected from that hot plasma when it re-enters. And we haven't really got to test whether that has fixed the flaps burning through, because none of these V2 Starships have been able to make it to a controlled re-entry yet. But that said, I think one of the most important things that Elon said yesterday, or in the video that came out yesterday related to this, is that they're planning to fly every 3 to 4 weeks. And if they can increase that launch cadence, that does allow them the ability to do more tests and figure out more things, get more data, make more improvements. Will it be enough for us to actually make that 2026 launch window? we're getting really close. Maybe not. Elon himself said 50-50 chance that they'll be able to make that. But it's going to be really exciting to see that launch cadence pick up and get more and more of these launches in the bag, more tests, more successful re-entries, hopefully very soon. And man, that first Starship catch on a chopstick tower is going to be incredible. I can't wait for that. And if the next launch is successful, that's potentially only 2 launches away. I think if they can really, really nail a water landing, they have talked about then the next one doing an attempt at a catch. So yeah, can't wait for that.
And I would say real quick, if you guys haven't had a chance to go out and see a launch, which I have not, John's been to several, and it is, I mean, I just love watching all the footage of it because you are so far away, miles and miles away, and you're watching it launch. I watched Joe Techmeyer and Ellie in Space's feed, and they're watching it, and then the sound hits them, and it is shockingly loud from 7 miles that you wouldn't believe. And yeah, 50-50 chance of making the 2026 window. Personally, I'm in the 50 camp.
Yeah, I think I would agree with everything that you're saying. I love how this was supposed to be a fast comment and then boom. But yeah, no, I love
SpaceX.
I think what we're witnessing is history happening, and that's what gets me excited is seeing a new technology being built, rockets, the biggest rockets, the most powerful engines ever being built. I think actually in Elon's one of his presentations, they said that they showed a bunch of like engineers and scientists the new Raptor 3 engine, and they all thought it was AI and fake. And then but it literally was actually the most efficient, like literally engine with the most amount of power that's ever been built. And if you just take a look at the first iteration versus where they're at now, it's just it's mind-boggling, right? I mean, you're taking like Shrek and making it look like something, a lot prettier. So, and Shrek wasn't too bad in the first iteration, but I'm just saying, but yeah, it's definitely, I agree with what Brian is saying. Get out to Starbase, go see it, especially too, it's a public roads, public highway. You can literally pretty much walk up to it. Who knows if that's going to be available forever? And we have only had 9 of these launches before. So hoping to make it out to the next one or sometime this summer. We'll see when it ends up. But really exciting stuff. All right, Joe, this one's to you. $3,000 trade to Tesla down under.
Yeah, so in Australia, they got some pretty good deals going on right now. And I think Australia is like kind of like one of those places that's, I don't know, kind of like Brazil in a way. Like they don't get a lot, so when they get it, they kind of go ham on it. And I think they're just trying to increase the sales incentives because of where they are right now. Pretty dope.
All right, Hans, we'll throw this one to you. Elon said what? Please explain.
There's a lot of different things here.
Yeah, can you read some of those to me? It's pretty hard on my little time.
All right. Yeah. So Elon Musk, there is no change to tax incentives for oil and gas, just EV and solar. And then Elon said the singularity already happened. Just ask the monkeys. Credit to David's mom. But I think go ahead.
Yeah, I think his comment about the singularity is just that, we're so much smarter than monkeys that compared to them, the super intelligence has already arrived, and we're, I don't know how far away we are from that happening with artificial intelligence, but very, very close. And then I think the jargon comment is just, it's so easy to obfuscate things and make it hard to understand. If you just say jargon, like, people assume that you're smart, and in the end it's just it's just a cover for not actually knowing what you're talking about most of the time.
People seldom make that mistake with me.
Well,
yeah, he doesn't sound smart.
Well, people seldom use the word obfuscate. So
or fish stick. All right, Brian, Elon making moves, meeting with the National Intelligence Director, Tulsi Gabbard, at SpaceX.
I would love to see the government better understand not just who the tech leaders are, but how to support them and foster growth. This is good. This is smart. But this is so obvious. These are giant rockets. You can see them from so far away. Now what we need to do is get the correct agencies within the government to come out and see Giga Nevada, to come out and see Lathrop, to understand what's going on. I think we need to get some normalization on battery import tariffs until such time as we can domestically produce the batteries. LFP batteries are not yet made at scale in the US, and this would be a good thing to get the right people to understand so we can have enough cells to build that, hit maximum capacity out of that new Dallas facility. We gotta get the right people in the right rooms. Sometimes it happens. Hopefully we can get some more of it.
For sure. Well, we're wrapping up episode 100. And I just want to bring a couple of things to your attention. So we actually just brought on a great new partner, Insta360. If you're not familiar with their cameras, pretty much anything action 360 cameras, you won't miss an angle. I'm also using for the first time, not the first time, but I've been using it all week, the Link. Oh, look, Brian, you're even using it. Is that the X5 or X4?
I don't know. I've had this for a year or two now, but
okay,
yeah, they're
so that's X4.
Gold standard.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
really cool. You will not miss an angle. You can shoot up into 8K. And I heard on the new one, I'm going to be trying it out pretty soon, but shooting it at night, the night vision is absolutely a game changer compared to the old one. So, but I'm using the Link 2C, which is shooting in 4K and very small and simple and compact to take with you. So we put the link in the description on YouTube. Check it out. Some of their products, they're amazing. And then also same thing with 8 Sleep. They just released a new pod. It's literally like the Tesla, but for beds. And then a couple of things coming up as well. If you want to win a free Cybertruck, Gemini, they're doing some giveaways as well. Check out their X handle. And then, of course, Joe, I might as well leave this to you since you're repping. You want to mention the new location that we have?
Yeah. So just so everybody's aware, we went ahead and announced yesterday that takeover is happening at the San Mateo County Event Center. It's going to be an indoor affair. You guys are going to love it. Your cars are going to look spectacular under the lights. It's going to be incredible. And just to let you know that this jacket, we have them in stock. They will be sold only at the event. We have hoodies. We got T-shirts. Y'all need to come through, man. So, the FOMO is real. I see y'all out there. Y'all mad y'all don't got this jacket.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I actually have it right behind me. Not the new version, not the new one, which I heard is even better. But if you want to hear people like Brian or Hans, Joe, or myself, will be on stage at various points throughout the event. Speaking on a bunch of topics from Tesla to SpaceX to investing to AI and robotics. Just make sure you go to xtakeover.com. It is really exciting. I know there's a lot of things going on this summer for you, but it really is the highlight of the year for me personally. And obviously, given the climate, this is going to be an amazing location, gated area, really off from the road. So even if our friends show up, you know, we're going to have tons of security along with San Mateo Police Department with not only police officers, but sergeants as well. So we're going to be well protected, ton of security guards, but the venue is absolutely central to the Bay Area. So it's like 20 minutes south of San Francisco. And it's just really going to allow us to open up and kind of really have a private and centrally located event with an upgrade from porta potties. Shout out to the ladies who have been putting that request in for a minute. So, but yeah,
Actual
it's going to be
bathrooms, you guys.
actual bathrooms. Huge upgrades, not in the random middle of the field with heat walking in as you go sit down. So too much information, but either way, we will see you there. I hope you guys have a great week.
No sunburns. No sunburns.
You'll be surprised. I got it covered.
Monday, the
Nice.
delivery numbers are coming out, so we'll be probably discussing that. And really, this show will be on 4 or 5 days, or about 3 or 4 days after those numbers. So we'll be able to kind of settle in on what people's thoughts are, even after the initial thoughts. So we'll dive into that, keep you updated. But we will see you next week. Thanks again for tuning in for episode 100. Again, please give all of these amazing hosts a follow. If you're thinking of a Tesla, make sure you use Hans's code 71453. It's down on the bottom right or left, depending on your point of view. But either way,
it worked last week.
It did.
Did it really?
All right, so now
I got
you
one.
No, but thank you for your time, Hans. So I'm happy that it did work. But with that said, please give them a follow. Check out their YouTube channels. They're always putting out amazing content. Joe's going to have major FOMO as well if you don't come to the takeover. All right. Have a good one. Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you next week.